For 4 years, I've been on a mission to turn $500 into $1 million. And in that time, we've gone from Uber Eats on a scooter to big time furniture flipping to recently buying real estate and everything else in between. But today's a big day because today I'm going to talk about the biggest changes to ever happen to this channel. And within those changes, I would say some of them are minor and some of them are pretty major. The minor changes include things like updating accounts that I haven't updated for a really long time, admittedly. And on that note, explaining how I plan to track and report these financials more accurately, more easily into the future now that we have more assets we're keeping track of. But then I also have some really important things, some major changes that I plan to make too. And that includes things like a new video format, not related to the $1 million journey that I'm really excited about, as well as a restructure on the series available on the channel and how that's going to be displayed and organized. And even, believe it or not, even a name change. But don't worry, it's gonna make sense, trust me. I've racked my brain on this, I've put a lot of thought into it. And to be honest with you guys, I have got a lot to talk about this episode, so I don't know if it's going to be long, I don't know if it's going to be short, we'll see how the edit goes. I'm going to shoot from the hip and just talk about the things that I got on my mind here. And we're going to start off with our most recent big W, because frankly, we've only got one W to talk about, and a couple L's after that. So, let's get right to it. So a few months ago, we bought a property that I knew was significantly undervalued for what other properties in the same neighborhood were selling for. Now, if you watched that video or go back and watch it, you'll notice that all the things we talk about needing to be done around here, it's all cosmetic. Everything else that's really important structurally, it's rock solid. And in fact, I've even started doing some renovations around here, starting with the garage, and I'm almost done. All right, almost done might be a little bit of a stretch. Perhaps I use that term a little loosely. Still gotta paint, still gotta do the floors with a more permanent solution, but all in all, it's coming along. But I definitely gotta get this place organized, that's for sure. Now I was gonna talk about this a little bit later in the video when I go on about how I'm gonna report certain things, especially like this house value now that we have it, because home values are really subjective. It's hard to track it. Obviously, I'm not gonna pay like $300 or $400 a month every month to have it officially appraised. Just really wouldn't make a lot of sense. So I have to figure out a solution that works easily, very simple, and easy to update. So to do that, I've decided a way that I'll track that estimate. What I'm gonna do is take the average of the 3 main platforms. So to me, when the main 3 comes to mind is Realtor.com, Zillow, and Redfin. So going forward, when we talk about the home value and how that incorporates into the $1 million goal, we're gonna take the average of those 3 together. Keeping that in mind, when we bought the house about 2.5 months ago, the appraisal came at $580,000. But starting now and going forward, we'll be using that average estimate as our value that we're tracking going forward. So when I do that today, the value comes out to $608,094. So that's a pretty big win if you ask me. Now listen, this is just an estimate, so don't get too bent out of shape if like you think that's too low or too high or whatever. It's just something we're gonna track going forward in this way. So when we do that, we come out ahead. So far, so good. But when this garage is done, we're talking at least $100K increase for sure. Last thing on real estate before I move on, which is that I want to say, real estate is not like a super liquid asset, okay? So don't think when I talk about these numbers that I'm talking about money in the bank. That's not the case. I do think it'll fluctuate month by month, could go up, could go down, but what I really do believe is gonna happen is I believe places like this and rental properties that we buy in the future through this channel, I think they're gonna be really big drivers for our net worth going forward and presently now. Now hold on a second, I don't wanna make it seem like I'm patting myself on the back, because we do still have some lingering losses that we gotta update and talk about too. Now I do think it's important to acknowledge mistakes or failures when they happen, but I'm not the kind of person to dwell on them either. I'm not gonna spend too much time talking about them as a result, but I do wanna acknowledge them so that we can update those accounts and keep moving forward here. So probably my most public and longest running loss on the channel is gonna be when I invested in AMC a couple years ago. One quick search of the ticker will tell you it didn't go very well. It hasn't gone very well. It's still not going very well. I don't think, I kind of stopped checking, to be honest. But we will be updating our Webull account balance from 2,403 to 229. Oof. Good news, bad news. Bad news, it's almost all gone. Good news is it's down so bad that I'm probably just gonna hold that bag for eternity. There's really no point in selling unless we were trying to like harvest the losses for taxes, which maybe we do down the stream. This next one isn't really a loss, but it is a little bit of like a to be determined, and that's when I invested $1,000 into the fractional vacation rental platform here. And the reason I say it's to be determined is because out of that $1,000 investment, I had made like $23 in actual rental income, but they're shutting down the investment platform and changing their business, but that means they're selling all the properties. So I won't have a full account until the property we invested in is sold. So for now, we're gonna update it from 1,000 to 123,000 to be determined. Worst of all is I gotta go ahead and just accept its fate. I have to announce I am shelving the idea of Sporting Social for now and potentially forever. Now, for those of you that don't know, Sporting Social is an adult sports and recreation business that I started a couple years ago. And I had really big aspirations for what it could become. The model is already proven. You can find businesses like this all over the country that are already working in many, many places. So the model works. But the fatal mistake that I made with this is that I really overestimated how much attention that I was actually going to be willing to dedicate to it. I just simply don't have enough time to allocate to building something like that, and I'm not willing to sacrifice the things that I'd have to sacrifice in order to gain that time. I thought that I could do it pretty seamlessly because that business, Sporting Social, is very, very similar to what I do outside of YouTube. I have a children's soccer franchise business that I've operated for 10 years now. They're very similar. I thought it was gonna be really turnkey and we could just kind of roll right into it. What I didn't take into account is that I worked every day in my children's soccer business for probably 6 years. Every day. Saturday, Sunday, Monday to Friday, the whole thing. And the thing that's really tough about Sporting Social to get started is that it's a business that it operates exclusively on nights and weekends. And with my full-time work with the soccer business I already have, in addition to having 3 kids and a wife, I wasn't willing to take on any more than I already had. But at the end of the day, I have to do what's best, not only for the channel, but also what's best for me, what's for my family. And sometimes these things intersect, and I don't think Sporting Social is the way right now. So I am gonna go ahead and deduct that $10,000 equity account off the channel net worth. That's gonna ding us down quite a bit, but it is time to go ahead and no longer consider that part of the net worth. So I'll leave with this. For those 3 things, I'll leave with this. Everybody makes mistakes in business. A lot of people don't like to talk about them. I don't really care. I'm not a guru. I don't sell anything as if I'm a guru. I'm just a guy trying to do my thing, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. And my favorite quote when it comes to failure is that you show me a man who's never made a mistake, and I'll show you a man who's never tried. That'll do it. Now, speaking of all these net worth changes, it can be a lot to talk about and present it clearly so everyone understands. So I'm gonna change things up a little bit going forward in the future. What I'm gonna start doing is posting a monthly video. This will be a monthly video that I can talk about everything that happened financially on the channel for that whole month. That way you can give it a really holistic picture as to what's going on from revenue, expenses, profit, everything. It'll be much more direct. Because a lot of time when I do these videos, it feels like there's never a right time to talk about certain things. So for example, if I'm posting like a couch flipping video, it's a little weird to then talk about my home value at the end of it, or my stock decreasing at the end of it. And I can see why that could be confusing for people, especially for those that maybe are new to the channel. So for the real ones out there, you guys that have been with me for a long time from the beginning, I think you'll actually like this change for the sake of clarity. So that's all I've got for what I would call the small updates this video, but I do have some big ones I want to talk about. And first things first, I'll just come out and say it. I'm starting a new series on this channel. Let me explain. See, when I started Mission Side Hustle many years ago, we took $500 and we bought this scooter right here. And in fact, I kept it for sentimental value. But you know what? Being at rock bottom and starting with nothing is kind of an interesting place to be because the only direction to go is up. And when I look back on it, everything back then was really an experiment. And I do miss that experimentation and the exploration of things. Because the thing about Mission Side Hustle is that it is results driven. It's about getting to the $1 million. It's not about being creative and trying lots of different stuff. It's meant to be a real representation of how things are for a normal person trying to build their life and build their wealth brick by brick when they start from the very beginning. And if you're really trying to get those results and make it in the world, you're probably not gonna jump from business to business week by week. You're gonna need to be really focused on that task at hand. And you'll see that's really good for business, but that doesn't bode well as a creative outlet. And the whole reason I started this channel to begin with is because I like making videos about my passions. And of which I have outside of my family is two, one being entrepreneurship and the other being like adventure travel. Yeah, baby. Oh shit. Oh.
By far the best place to ride in Florida.
Heading to the race. Predictions, first, second, third place. What do you think?
Probably between first and second.
Between first and second?
It's a fact. I'll never, ever, ever do this again.
Thought they had me in the first half. We came back strong. Woo! Those donkeys are a better climber than you. And me. Unfortunately, I'm not in the position to be a travel vlogger with little kids right now. So look, here's the thing. The $1 million journey, it's not going away. It ain't over till it's over, and I'm fully committed to seeing it all the way through. But I do need that creativity back, because if I don't do that, then I've completely lost the plot and I've forgotten the whole reason why I started in the first place. So let me lay it out. Here's the plan. New series coming to the channel. It's gonna be called Niche Riches, and I'd like to describe it as, think Mike Rowe's dirty jobs, but with the vlog style that I typically do. And in these videos, it will actually be standalone videos of me trying different side hustles, maybe shadowing people and trying different businesses, you name it. And it will all come from the perspective of going through that experience and doing it myself. Now, the idea is that some of these things I will do it with other people, particularly people who already have infrastructure in place for bigger things. So, for example, like a food truck. I'm not gonna go out, buy a food truck, start a food truck business just for one video. I want to be able to do things that are standalone without having to commit myself fully to them in that same way that I would on Mission Side Hustle. But other things, they might just be low barrier of entry and I can start from scratch. So like pressure washing or things of that nature. So if that sounds interesting and there's something you'd like me to try, make sure you let me know in the comments or the Typeform link below. Oh, and also, if you do something currently that is interesting and you'd be willing for me to tag along, definitely let me know in that Typeform link, and maybe there's a possibility we could do something together. Who knows? So, with all that said, that leaves only two things left to discuss: the name change and the series restructure. So I'll just say it. The plan is, at 100,000 subscribers, I'm gonna change the name of the channel. This channel started as Mission Side Hustle, and that's what I think should be on the plaque when and if that time comes. But after that, I'm simply gonna change the channel name to just my full name, which is Corey Collins. Now, there's a couple reasons that I'm gonna make this change. One of the reasons being that new people to the channel, and even some people that have been around for a while, they're often confused by what the name ultimately means. There's this belief and expectation sometimes that it's always going to be just side hustles exclusively to $1 million net worth, and that's just simply, it's not the case. This whole thing that we're doing here, it's a process, and side hustles are a part of that process, just like business creation is part of that process, or real estate investing is part of that process, or any other avenue someone were to choose is all part of that process. So ultimately, when I think about it, I'd rather the channel name just be for myself and then have these series be specifically whatever it is the goals that they're working towards. So here's the breakdown. Mission Side Hustle will become the name of the main series on this channel. And as I said before, that series is very results driven. So everything in that's going to be practical, realistic, repeatable ways that I myself am trying to get to that $1 million net worth. On the other hand, Niche Riches will be the secondary series. And this will be more creative driven. This is where I can just try things out, and of course the result will be documented, but it doesn't have the same gravity as whatever occurs in Mission Side Hustle. Because those videos are going to be about just simply the experience rather than the overall result that we're working towards. And I really like the idea of the structure because it allows me to provide what I feel is the best of both worlds on the channel. On one hand, we'll have variety and creativity, and then on the other hand, we'll have practicality and insight. To be honest with you, I'm probably making it sound like a bigger change than it's actually going to be, but point being, I'm gonna be there for everything. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And I'm just really excited to bring it forward finally. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to do this earlier, but I'm going to go ahead and put on screen. I talked about all those updates earlier for the accounts I hadn't talked about in a while, so I'll put the update on screen with all that taken into consideration, the new net worth of the channel with the updates and the real estate update and everything. Those longer update videos, though, I'll start doing those at the end of April. So guys, do me a favor, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave me a comment and let me know. This is stuff, it's been on my mind for a long time, and I really had to summon up kind of the courage, I think, to just make these big changes. Because like I said earlier, I have put so much thought into this stuff. I'm just really, really excited to bring these updates to you guys. And at the end of the day, I just really appreciate you guys being here so much. I couldn't do it without you guys. So once again, as always, thank you, and we'll see you guys next time. Let's go.